Hi, welcome to my channel English Audio Stories. Ready for today's English story? Let's go. Lost in the City. It was a warm Monday morning when Lucas took the early train to the city. He had never been there alone before. His hands were sweating as he checked his bag again. Wallet, phone, papers, everything was inside. This is my chance, he whispered to himself. He was going to a job interview for a small design company. The train was full of people in suits, students with headphones, and tourists holding maps. Lucas looked out the window, watching the small towns disappear. After 1 hour, tall buildings started to appear. The city was huge, bright, and noisy. When he got off the train, he followed the crowd to the main street. Cars were honking, and people were walking fast. He took out his phone to open the map, but the screen stayed black. The battery was dead. Lucas took a deep breath. "Okay, no problem. I'll just ask someone," he said. But everyone seemed too busy. No one even looked at him. He walked for a few minutes and turned left at a cafe, then right, then left again. Soon, every street looked the same. He stopped and realized he didn't know where he was anymore. For the first time, Lucas felt lost. Really lost. Lucas stood on the corner looking around. The tall buildings made it hard to see the sky. People were walking fast, holding coffee cups or phones. Nobody seemed to notice the young man with a confused face. He tried to remember the name of the company. Design studio, something, he said to himself. He opened his bag to look for the paper with the address. His hands were shaking a little, but when he checked, the paper was gone. It must have fallen out on the train. Great, he sighed. Then he saw an old man sitting on a bench, reading a newspaper and holding a folded map. Lucas walked closer. "Excuse me, sir. Can you help me?" The man looked up and smiled kindly. "Of course, young man. What are you looking for?" "I have a job interview, but I don't remember the street name," Lucas said. The old man nodded slowly. That's not easy. But maybe we can figure it out together." He opened his big paper map, and Lucas watched as his hands moved carefully across the lines and names. "What kind of company is it?" the man asked. "It's a design studio. They make posters and logos." The man smiled. "Ah, I know one like that. On Green Street. It's not far, maybe a 10-minute walk." Lucas felt hope again. "Thank you so much." The man folded the map and said, "Be careful, young man. This city can be friendly, but it can also test you." Lucas didn't understand what he meant. He just smiled, thanked him again, and started walking toward Green Street. Lucas followed the signs and turned onto Green Street. At first, he thought he was in the right place. There were small shops, cafes, and a flower stand on the corner. But after a few minutes, the street became quiet. Most of the stores were closed, and the walls were covered with posters and graffiti. He stopped in front of an old building with big glass doors. There was a sign that said Green Studio. That must be it, he thought, and smiled with relief. He pulled the handle, but the door didn't open. Locked. He looked through the glass, but the lights were off. Nobody was inside. "Maybe I'm early," he said to himself and sat on the nearby steps. Time passed. 10 minutes. 20. The street stayed silent. Lucas checked his watch. The interview was supposed to start at 11. It was already past. A woman walked by with a small dog. Lucas stood up quickly. "Excuse me, do you know if Green Studio is open today?" The woman stopped. "Green Studio? Oh, they moved to another place last month." Across the river, near Central Park. Lucas froze. "Across the river?" She nodded. Yes, about 30 minutes from here. But you need a bus or a taxi. Lucas looked around. No buses, no taxis, just empty street and hot sun. He sighed deeply and whispered, "Okay, I can still make it. I'll walk." And so, with sweat on his face and determination in his eyes, Lucas started walking again, deeper into the unknown city. After 20 minutes of walking, Lucas was tired. His shoes hurt, his shirt was wet, and the city noise felt louder than ever. He stopped at a small cafe on the corner to rest. Inside, it was cool and quiet. The smell of coffee filled the air. He sat down at a table near the window. A young woman came over with a friendly smile. "What can I get you?" "Just water, please," Lucas said. She looked at him for a moment. "Rough day?" Lucas laughed nervously. "You could say that. I'm lost. I had a job interview, but I went to the wrong place." The woman nodded. "That happens here all the time." "Which company?" "Green Studio. They moved near Central Park." "Oh, I know that area," she said quickly. "It's pretty far, but there's a short way through the park streets." "I can show you on a map." Lucas smiled with relief. She took a napkin and drew a simple map with arrows and street names. "Take this road, then turn left after the bookstore. You'll see a bridge. Cross it, and you'll be close." Lucas thanked her and stood up to leave, but then she added, "Hey, don't rush too much. Sometimes being late isn't the end of the world. Maybe it's part of the story." He looked at her, surprised by her words. She smiled again and went back behind the counter. Lucas folded the napkin carefully and walked out. He still had a long way to go, but for the first time that day, he didn't feel lost, just curious where the road would lead. The afternoon sun was already low when Lucas finally reached the bridge. His legs were heavy, but the air near the river felt fresh. He crossed slowly, looking at the city lights starting to appear in the water. After another 10 minutes, he saw a modern building with a big green sign, Green Studio. His heart jumped. "I made it," he whispered. He walked in and saw a receptionist. "Hello, I'm Lucas. I had an interview today at 11, but..." The woman looked up with a smile. "Ah, yes. You were supposed to meet Mr. Gray. He had to leave early, but please wait a moment." Lucas sat down, feeling both nervous and proud. He had finally found the place. A few minutes later, another man came out of an office. "You must be Lucas," he said kindly. "Mr. Gray told me about your situation. Quite a story, huh?" Lucas nodded, embarrassed. "Yes, I got lost." Many times the man laughed. "Well, that's part of living in this city. But I like people who don't give up. Sit down. Let's talk." They spoke for a while about his work and ideas. At the end, the man said, "You know what? We'll give you a chance. You start next week." Lucas could hardly believe it. As he walked out, the city didn't look so big anymore. It looked alive, full of streets, stories, and small moments that could change everything. He smiled and thought of the old man with the map and the girl from the cafe. Sometimes being lost is just the first step to finding where you belong. Great job. You finished the story. Keep listening, keep learning, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.